Welcome to the TPC Desktop video series. In this video, we'll look at setting decimals by traverse. I've opened the sample survey called Learn Kogo, and I'm going to open just one traverse here. Let's use the road centerline data. Let's go ahead and double-click this to open up the traverse. I'm going to switch to one line per point, and let's put a curve in here between 106 and 109. We'll just fit one in there real quickly. Looks like we can use a radius of 125. Now we've got some curve data in there. And let's go to the View Format view for the traverse. Notice that we have a new tab here called Decimals. Prior to version 14 release 2, we had the Format tab in Advanced. This release adds a Decimals tab. This Decimals tab controls the decimals for this traverse. Now, prior to release 2, I could come up to Settings, and I could choose the Decimals tab here, and I could set the number of decimal places to use for coordinates, for areas, for distances, angles, and Traverse PC would use these throughout the program. Traverse PC still uses these throughout the program. However, when I come to a traverse and choose View, Format View, I can set the decimal specifically for just that traverse. So let's take a look at how this works. The first thing I'll notice is that when I change the decimal settings for this traverse, Traverse PC redisplays the data in the traverse view using those decimal settings. So let's change our coordinates to 2. Let's change our distance to 3 and choose OK. Notice that the coordinates are now redisplayed with 2 decimal places and the distances are displayed with 3 decimal places. So where does Traverse PC use this? Let's go ahead and bring up our closure view. And I see that now all my distances are displayed to 3 decimal places. That's because Traverse PC is picking up those decimal places from the decimals for this traverse. Notice that my coordinates are displayed to 2 decimal places. Again, Traverse PC is using the decimal settings for this traverse in the closure view for this traverse. Let's take a look at another place this shows up. If I go to Tools, Print, and Append to Report View, Traverse PC generates the same information from the traverse view and adds it to a report. Well, I see here again that Traverse PC is using 3 decimal places for distance, 2 decimal places for coordinates, again because those are the decimal settings for this traverse. Let's bring up a legal description and let's talk about one place where it changes a little bit. Notice that the legal description includes an override. So I can tell Traverse PC that regardless of what settings I have for the program or our traverse, I want the legal description to display 2 decimal places for distances. So let's go ahead and write that legal description. And I can see that the distances have just 2 decimal places like I requested. So in this case, this traverse had its distances set to 3 decimal places, but we overrode that when we wrote the legal description. So I can come into this traverse and I can set the decimals to whatever values I want for this particular traverse. Now, if I were to save this format, those decimal settings would be saved with that format. And there are a number of formats that come with Traverse PC. You're welcome to include your own. And with this 2014 Agile Release 2, you can now save the decimal settings for these formats as well as the other information. One other little feature that I think is kind of neat in this Agile release is that I can come back to the traverses and I can say, I want all of the foundation traverses, for instance, to display the same number of decimals on distances. Well, I can select all the foundation traverses, right-click one of them, and here's that same option, Traverse View Format Settings. So I'm going to come in and choose the decimals for whatever I want. I want 2 for coordinates, 3 for distance. Traverse PC then is going to update those decimal settings for the 2 selected traverses. So now I could come in and open either one of these traverses, and Traverse PC would have 3 decimals for distance, 2 decimals for coordinates. It's a great way just to say I want all of these to be the same and use the same number of decimal places.